All right, everyone, welcome to the channel. So today we're looking at the Tesla Model X. This is my 2016 Model X. I've owned this about 5 months. Right now it's 2021, so we bought it used, obviously. We're actually the third owners of this car. I want to talk about the Falcon doors because that really is a cool feature of these cars, these Falcon doors that come up. I want to talk about these doors because we've had some issues and some problems with these doors. I don't know if it's super common with all the other Model X's, but we've had some issues and problems. I've actually had this in the service center, the Tesla service center, twice in the 5 months we've owned it to try to figure out why these doors intermittently will not open all the way because they detect a phantom object. So there's sensors in these doors right here, and if it senses something, it will limit the mobility, it'll limit the height, it won't open all the way. And so when this thing's out in the open, sometimes it just would not open all the way. So I want to go through just some of the quirks, some of the weird things about it, because the doors are cool. So I will say that the doors are awesome. They look awesome. The cool thing is you can open up with your key fob here. So I just got my key fob. I double click on the side, and they'll just pop open. So they're really cool. In this location, we actually have it set to open fully. Like if you in the place where you are parking it all the time, if it's clear, you can say open all the way because you know there's no obstructions here, so it'll do that. So I want to talk about some of the weird things with this, so let's get started. Okay, like I said, we had this in the service center twice, and the first time we took it in, it was for this driver's side door, and the driver's side door, they wanted like some timestamps as to when it was acting up. We gave them a couple, and they were able to look back in the log, they were able to do some diagnostics, and they found out this sensor in the door had some, the readings were below the levels that they should have been. So they replaced the sensor in the driver door. We took it in a couple months after that for the passenger side door, and with really the same symptoms, and they're like, oh, okay, well, they didn't replace the sensor, they replaced the housing of the sensor. I guess what can happen is the adhesive that holds the sensor on the inside of the door can fail, and the sensor will like tip over, fall off, or do something so that you're getting false readings. So we've got a new sensor in the driver door. We don't have one in the passenger door, so I'm not sure if that's common or not. But those are the two things we're getting, especially if the car was like sitting out in the sun for a couple hours. It'd get false readings. It wouldn't open all the way. So we've had it in a few times to get that fixed. I want to show you, for example, I want to put some obstacles next to the doors, and I want to show you how it works. Okay, so here I have this is just a dolly with a cardboard box clipped to it, and it's really just simulating a obstacle next to the door, and it should be able to pick it up, and it will kind of sense. So what I want to do is I want to like start the obstacle close, and I want to show you kind of how the door reacts. Now, let me know if my doors are malfunctioning, if this needs to be fixed, or if this is just how all of them work. But it really seems like if something's closer than like 18, 19 inches, it's not going to be able to open all the way. Let's see how this works out. Okay, so just for reference, we're gonna look. This is at 14 inches. That's a little close. That's 12. Let's move that to. Okay, this is 14 inches. I'm going to use the key fob. I just double click on the button, the window button. Will not open at all. It's beeping as it just beeped at me. Almost so it won't open at all. I don't know what that's about. Okay, let's move it back a little bit. Where are we at now? All right, this is 18 inches. 18 inches. I can slide by here. This is people can very easily park this close to your car. You know, like if you can shimmy right by right here. I mean that happens. Let's see if it does anything here. 18 inches. Okay, so this is kind of the problem that we have is if there's an obstacle this close, 18 inches isn't that close, first off. If this was a minivan, that door would be open, you know, it'd go out 3 or 4 inches, 5 inches at max, and it'd go right back. This, you know, you could sneak in, like you could get in there. I could probably squeeze in there. If you're a small person, you get in there. You're a larger person, you're not getting in there. You'd have to go to the other side and make sure the other side could open. Let's see, I can override it here. So if I hold down this button here on the door pillar and I hit the... I mean, it was clear, like it just barely missed this right here. But it opened, which is good. But I had to manually override it. Doing the manual override, I have to hold the button down. I can't manually override from the key. I have to do it from the screen or the button on the pillar. And it's hard when you're outside of the car. You have to get in, do that. So that's kind of an inconvenience. I'm going to double click. Okay. Okay, so it closed there. It's really like, I'm going to move it a little bit closer. That's at about, I want to make sure this is even here. That's about 16 inches there. So let's move this side back just a little bit. Okay, 17 inches. At 17 inches, you can squeeze by the car here. You know, let's see what 17 inches does here. Again, we get like that half open. You know, I could maybe squeeze in there. Luckily, like my kids get in the back. Really, I don't really get in the back. My wife doesn't get in the back. It's our kids. The kids could squeeze in through the back there, but it still should it still seems like it could fold more flat until it gets up. I don't know. Let me close it here. Let's close it down. Okay, that's 12 inches. That's 13. Okay, at 12, here's 12 inches. Can it open at 12 inches? No, 12 inches. I don't know if you heard that sound. There's beeping inside. It can't open. Can't open at all. So at 12 inches, you know, I just hope I'm never in a situation where that's the case, where that ever happens, that 12 inches or less, it's not going to open at all. Let's see at what distance it'll fully open. Okay, here's 20 inches. So this is 20 inches, and I'm just going to, I'll move it back even more. Let's give it a little more space here. That's still about 20 inches. Okay, there's about 21 inches. That should be plenty of room for it to open all the way. Get up. See, I guess that's kind of the problem is when something's 21 inches away, we still only get a half. That's only, 3/4 of the way open. So I don't know if this sensor's been, no, the driver's side's been replaced. This one hasn't. So I don't know if the sensor needs to be replaced or what. But the other side does the same exact thing. So it's not like this is a one-off situation. It really seems like that's kind of the norm. Something has to be. Okay, here's 27 inches away, and this should open all the way. Let's see if it opens all the way. It should. Why didn't it get up? I don't know. I mean, that's high enough for people to get in. I just wish it would go all the way up. There's no obstruction. There's no obstruction up top here. anyways, that's kind of the quirky part of these doors, is if you have something close to the doors, they're not going to open like that, and that's really where I have a kind of a beef with, Elon Musk.
So our goal was to create an aperture that was more functional than a minivan door, and I think the team has succeeded. So I think it's the best aperture out there.
The launch event talks about how this is more functional, practical, easier to use than a minivan door. Well, I beg to differ. We actually had a minivan before this car, and the minivan door, yeah, it does take up space along as it slides at the back, but you can still easily get in by walking to the front. That door, if you have only 12 inches to get in, that door only takes up 6 inches. You could walk around. If I only have 12 inches here, this door's not even opening. So that's kind of a downside there. The other thing I want to point out, okay, let me move this obstacle out of the way. The other thing I want to show you is when you're opening both doors at the same time. That's kind of a challenge, and I want to show you how that works. Okay, so what I want to demonstrate here is getting in both doors at the same time really is not that easy or possible. So for example, if my child's walking up and they want to get in this door here and they want to push the button, and then I have to push this button. The front doors, when you push the door button, it pops in and it pops the door out. It's like a button that you push and it pops the door out. Because there's no door handle, there's no way to pull the door open. You can't pull the door open, so the door has to pop itself out in order to open. It's kind of cool. It's nice that you don't have to physically, open the door. But because you have to stand back from the door in order for it to pop open, I can't be right here. I can't be right here next to this door and it popping open. I can't be next to this door because, if I'm within 18 inches, if I'm within 12 inches of this door, it's not going to open. So that's where it's challenging, is if I want to open this door and this door, two people trying to get in at the same time, which that happens quite a bit, Like I'm walking up to the passenger door, my son wants to get into the back door here. What I'll have to do is we'll just have to open this first, and then open, after this is completely open, then open this door. For example, if I push this one and that one, I have to step back like that. I have to step back. My son can't be standing right in front of that door either, or the obstruction will be detected. So my son has to push it and then walk, step away from it, let it open, and then I have to step away from this one to let it open. So it's just kind of quirky. Here's another thing, is if I'm getting out of the car or even getting into the car, I have to make sure that like my son or daughter or whoever's in the back seat doesn't start shutting this door. As I'm approaching the door and trying to get in here, I have to make sure they don't close this down, because this thing will come down right on my head. And it's gotten close. I've gotten grazed by this door. It's gotten close to hitting me a few times, and so if I just like it'll hit you, like it felt some resistance, so it stopped, but that seriously just hit me in the shoulder. Where if I'm trying to get into the front here, you have to make sure that this door is not coming down and it won't hit you. So kind of a quirky deal. So guys, I'm not really complaining. I want you to be aware of these kind of issues with these doors. They're unique kind of doors. This was probably a pretty big engineering challenge. And then to couple that with the front doors not having a physical handle to get in, and you have to get out of the way for it to pop, it really creates that kind of challenge of where to stand, getting out of the way of both of the doors as they're trying to open. So if you're considering one of these cars, know that there are some quirks, and these doors are finicky. They just don't, they're just not normal doors. But the plus side is, the Falcon doors, when they're up, when this door opens up and it flashes open, it looks awesome. This thing looks awesome when it's open. It's super flashy. It really is. I mean, it just draws a ton of attention, which is really cool. They look awesome. There is some functionality, having to being able to get in to the third row, and I can stand up in here, that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. But being more functional than a minivan as far as opening and closing, I don't think so. We love the car. The new Model X is coming out 2022, and there should be, you know, hopefully they've kind of worked out some of these kinks and these bugs. This is the first year. This is the 2016, and they've had now 5 years to kind of work these bugs out, and we're still kind of dealing with it. So hopefully there's some fixes or some software updates or sensor updates that can kind of help alleviate some of these weird situations where the doors won't open, them conflicting with each other, and it like hitting stuff too. Like that, I guess that's kind of an issue too. But anyways, well, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this gave you some good information. Leave down in the comments below if you've had similar experiences. If there's you know of some kind of trick that I don't know about these doors, I'd love to know about it. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.